Hello everybody, hi everybody, welcome to CSS Escapism. My name is Amit. Hi to everybody that is seeing us live. If you're seeing us live, say hi in the chat, and hi if you're watching this later, if you're watching the recording. So today we're gonna do a CSS game. I'm dealing with a lot of games lately. Actually, Kevin Powell just uploaded a great video of him doing a review of pure CSS games, and I actually thought about this game before that. But it's great. Like, playing games is fun. Making games is better. Making games with CSS is the greatest. So what are we going to do today? Actually, hey, Script Raccoon. Hey, everybody in the chat. Yeah. Hi, CSG, whatever your name is. Thanks. Yeah, I hope you're going to learn a few things as well. So a few weeks ago, actually, let's jump into my screen. Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I've done this CSS maze, and this maze that I've done this in live stream. So it uses this hover effect to know where the mouse is, the cursor is, and when you hover over a wall, so you gotta hit a wall, you need to reset it. But actually, before I've done this maze, I actually done this version. I never published it, but this version, actually, you can click and drag your player inside of this maze, and when you hit a wall, so it turns red. The same principle, but this actually uses container queries. You can see here in the code, it's made out of container queries, but I didn't do it live because it has a lot of container queries, and it's a lot of math and calculation of where to get each one of those query. So I put it aside, but I really wanted to do a game that used this type of mechanism that use container queries. The maze I've done with something else. So what we're going to do today, we are going to use container queries, but we're going to do something kind of in the style of Fluffy Bird. Not really Fluffy Bird, but in the sense that a single tap game, when you click, the player or the whatever it is goes up. When you let go, it goes down. And it actually, a better example that I have is this game, Jetpack JoyRide. I don't know if you know it. I love this game. I played this game for hours and hours and hours. And it's pretty much the same principle. It's just a boy with a jetpack, and when you click on it and when you tap on the screen, so the character goes up, and you leave, the character goes down. And this is kind of what we're going to do today. Hey Mark, hi everybody in the chat. Yeah, that's really, thanks. So actually, I've done a to-do list. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today. We're going to start with just basic wireframe. It's not really going to be wireframe, but it's going to be just basic rectangles, blocks, just moving. But we want to get the position, the size, the movement of all the different elements, the player and whatever the player needs to collect, or if it's I don't know. We're going to do just cues, but it can be coins, it can be whatever you want. Then we're going to talk about collision detection, like when do we know when the player actually hit this obstacle. And then after we're going to do the collision, we're going to make it pretty. We're going to talk about visual background. We're going to make the player just move. We're going to add a little squish, and we're going to add some 3D. As I said, I want to do some cubes. And after that, we're going to talk about scoring, because it's a game. We need to add some scores. Maybe we're going to add a couple of lines of JavaScript to help us with scoring. If we want scoring, so we're going to do it. But very, very, very basic JavaScript, so don't worry about it. So let's begin. So with active state, yeah, Mark. So the kind of the principle is the active state, but I am going to use container queries for the collision detection. We're going to talk about it in a second. So let's start, and I'm starting with pretty much the basic template that I have. I just have a container here. Actually, let's change this to game container. Okay. And in the CSS, I have, again, just a very basic reset and really nothing on the body, just color and things to put it to center everything in the center. Yeah, let's leave it. And here, this is the game container. I have a width and a height, but I actually don't want it like this. First of all, this game container needs to be relative because everything needs to be relative to this container. Let me put my notes here. Yeah, so the width, let's say, we're going to change it obviously, but I'm not going to set the height. I'm just going to set an aspect ratio of 1, so it would always be square. When I make games, I like to make them square because then they like automatically fit like any screen, whether it's a landscape or portrait. But we do want to make it like responsive, so let's make it like 90 v min. Yeah, so now it's gonna be the square 90% of the screen. Instead of border, actually let's set it to outline, just so it won't affect the size. Maybe even a bit bigger. Okay. But okay, let's leave it like this for now. And inside of this game container, I'm actually gonna let's start with just adding a player. Okay, and this player. Okay. So it's gonna be position absolute, obviously. I'm not gonna give it an inset. Where is the player? I have a lot of notes. There's a lot of code here, obviously. Let's give it width of 1 em. Actually, okay, because I want to use 1 em, and in my mind I have this game container. It's like divided into a grid of a 10 by 10. So this width is actually supposed to be like 10 em. And yeah, so just going to change the font size to 9v min. So it's pretty much the same thing, but now every em is 10% of the size. So now the player, if I give it a width and a height of 1 em, so it's 10% of the cube. So yeah. So okay. So that's the player, and actually let's say that its left is like 2 em and the top 9 em, so it would be straight in the bottom. Right, okay. But if I want to move it, as Mark said, I can use the active state. And actually, it's kind of your decision if you want the active state to be just on the game or on the entire body. I prefer it to be on the entire body. So right here in the body, I'm going to say, and active. So if the body is active, I'm going to set a variable of top to 0. Okay, so now this top, instead of 9 em, can be this variable of top or 9 em. Okay, so now when I'm not clicking it, it's right here, and when I'm clicking it, it's in the top because the top is 0. Okay, but now I can obviously need to add a transition of the top, let's say 3 seconds, and now when I click on it, the character goes up. When I leave, it goes down. Actually, it would be better if I add an ease out. Okay, and this is like the basic movement. And if I want, because normally the way up, it's like, at least from I used to it from the JoyRide game, the jetpack JoyRide game. So the duration when you go up is faster. So I can set the transition duration, let's say half of it, so 1.5 seconds. So now the duration can be this or 3 seconds. So now when I click on it, when it's active, the duration would be 1.5. So when it goes up, it would be faster, and when I leave, it's going to be slower. If I'll do it like 13, so you can see how the difference. but 3 seconds, there's still a difference. When you play the game, there's still a difference. So this is the basic movement that I want to achieve, but this is not how I'm going to do it. As I said, I'm later on thinking about container queries, so I'm going to do something a bit different and a bit weird. So first, let's create another container. We're going to call it control container, because that is the control element. We're going to put the player inside of it. Okay. Yep. Now let's remove this transition, and the top, let's say the top is 9 EM. We don't need this. Yep, okay. Actually, now let's see the control controller. The control controller is actually the control container, excuse me. So it's going to be position absolute, and I'm going to pinpoint it to the bottom left of the screen. So it's going to be left 0 and high cubies. Maybe using yeah, so the comment is right, using like local custom property. So the naming convention is using lowercase here. I'm just gonna leave it like this for now. It's very close, small project. So, but yeah, in a big project, your comment is probably right. But I don't want to confuse people now in unnecessary information. So for now, we're gonna leave it like this. Yeah, where were we? Oh, sorry, in the control container. So I want to be in the position to the bottom left, anchor to the bottom left. So left 0 and bottom of 0, and you will see why in a second. Let's give it a width of 100%. Let's give it a height of 10 EM. Actually, let's do 10 EM. So just so we can see it, let's give it like a yellowish color. Okay, so this is the control container, okay? It's obviously the same size and the same position as the game controller. It's filling the whole space. But let's change this. Let's make the whole thing smaller so we can see it like a bit bigger. What I want, the height, instead of 1 EM, I want it to be a custom property. So let's call it a control height, okay? And then I can set this custom property in active instead of the stop. I don't need the stop anymore. And I will set this height, let's say if I want to be 19. Yeah. And you'll see why 19 in a second. So now when I click on it, okay, let's make it even a bit smaller. Yeah, so now when I click on the container is going to be 19 EM, and because of that, this the player is stick to the top left of the control container. So now I can actually set this transition to the control container, but obviously not the top. I need to change to the height, and now I'll get pretty much the same thing I got earlier, but actually the player is not moving. The player is constant, is position absolute relative to the to the control container, and the control container is changing its height, okay, and its position absolute to the bottom of the game container. So obviously later on we're gonna this game container, we're gonna use overflow hidden. So later we're not gonna see everything that is gonna flowing, but for now we're gonna leave the overflow seeing. Oh yeah, I know my hexes. Yes, Mark. Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Cubis. Okay, so this is, and the reason I'm doing this is because again I'm using container queries, so I want the change of the height. Okay, so this is this container. Great. Now let's talk about the obstacles or the call or the goals or whatever this this cube needs to go through or to collect or whatever you want to call it. So let's remove this color. I hate this yellowish color. But, you know what, let's leave it because I want you to see it. So inside of this control container, let's create a div of let's call them boxes because I want them to be in 3D. I want them to be boxes. And so each box, so I'm going to use pretty much the same concept. I'm going to have a box container, and inside of it there is a box. Okay, now let's do like 2 or 3. Let's leave it 3 for now, and later on we can change it. So let's take this box container. Let's make it above the player, maybe. No. Okay, so the box container, it's supposed to be position absolute, and it's absolute. And the box container, yep. Again, they should be at the same size of their container. So let's give them a width of 10 em, and the height. We're gonna change it, obviously, but for now, let's see background color. Let's make it a blue color so we can see it like this. Yeah, okay. So this is the container, the box container. But actually, I want the boxes. No, let's draw the box. Okay. Actually, this is supposed to be left of 0 and top of 0, just so it should be organized. And the box, obviously, it's also should be position absolute. But the box, I want the box to be in the bottom right corner of this container. Let's change the player to red so we can see the difference, and the box, so right 0 and bottom 0. Oops. And background color so we can see it. Okay, so this is the white box here. Okay, this is this box. Okay, and the blue is the box container, right? And we have 4 of them, or 3 of them, one on top of the other. Okay. So actually, I want the box to move from, to come from the outside of the screen and move to the outside of the screen. So let's make the box container like -2 em to the left, and the width, let's make it 14. Okay, that's the concept. And let's add an animation. Yes, this animation is actually the box move. Okay, so what's going to happen is the container is going to change its width. Okay, and when I change the width, obviously the box is going to move from the right side to the left side. Okay, so this is the box move. We're going to create a variable. We're going to call it duration. Each one of those cubes is going to get a delay. Obviously, we don't want all of the cubes to come together. Let's set a custom a default of 0. And I want this to be an endless game. It's going to be repeating infinitely. So we're going to make it infinite, and the movement is, I'm going to set it to linear. Okay. Sorry. Now let's set these keyframes. By the way, last 2 streams, I misspelled the words keyframes, and because CodePen doesn't have this keyframe in the autocomplete, but you can create your own autocomplete in CodePen. That's amazing. So now I just write keyf, and that's it. So no more misspelling of keyframes. So box move, and so let's say from let's not from 0%. Yeah, the width. The starting width is 14 em. This is the width that we have right now here. Okay, and in the end, so the end is supposed to be for now it's 100%, but it should end before 100%. But for now we're going to leave it at 100%, the width at 1 em. Okay, so now the cubes are going to move. If I haven't forgot anything, I obviously forgot something. Oh, to set the duration variable, let's set it right here. Let's say 3 seconds. You can play around with this. Oh yeah, Mark, thanks. Yeah, so this is the basic concept, and it moves. So now the width is changing, but when I click on it, you can see that everything is also changing. Okay, but this is not what we want. We want the height of this how do you call it, of this obstacle, this cube, actually this box, to be constant. So how do we do it? Let's go back to this box container. The width is obviously now set by the animation, so we don't need it here anymore. Let's leave it just for now, but we don't need it. But the height of the box container, instead of 10 em, we're going to set it to a calc, okay, of no, wait, maybe I am mistaken. No, that's okay. But why that? Oops, wait. That doesn't supposed to move. That's not supposed to move. That's not what I was thinking about. Let's start with adding inside of this box container. Let's start with a simple loop so we can have a delay for each one of them. So we're gonna say for I from 0 to, and we're gonna set a variable of box count. Right now this box count actually equals 2, 3. Let's make it a 4, so it would be more even number. Okay, and 4. Yeah, okay, so now we can select each one of them, nth child of I plus 1. Let's set a delay. And the delay, so yeah, the delay is supposed to be the duration, but okay, so the duration over the box count, because we're gonna change the number of boxes, so we're gonna divide it times I. So now if I haven't missed anything, yeah, okay, so now we have all 4 boxes, but now we can see that all 4 of them are in the same are all in the same time. So let's change this. Instead of 100%, let's make it 50%. So now we can only see 2 of them. And yeah, okay, this is actually better. And yeah, so actually we can calculate this number. Okay, first of all, we need to change a few things. First of all, we need to change, we can set that this duration is actually, let's say like 1.5 seconds times box count. So the duration is, as if I have more boxes, the duration is going to be longer, because obviously the loop between the boxes should be longer. This is one. And this end result, because I want 2 in each time on the screen, I can calc it, or I don't need a calc, I just need I'm gonna use SAS. So it's 100% over box count. Yeah, times 2. So that makes sense. Yeah, so now I have only 2 at the same time, and if I change this like for 3, so I'm gonna have 3 in the same time. Yep, what did I miss? Expected. What did I miss? Oh, I don't know this. Okay, so now I set it to 3. Shouldn't be box container be positioned bottom 0. Yeah, I think so, but no, I think it should be on the top, but I need to animate the height as well. But I'm gonna check in a second. So now the delay is great, the delay is working, but let's change it back to 2. Yep. So now, let me check my notes for a second. Oh yeah, okay. So that's my mistake. The height is not supposed to be 110 em. It's supposed to be let's make it 100%. Because if I make it 100%, you'll see that the height is going to change with it. Okay, so it's not gonna the cubes, the boxes are always going to be in the bottom, but I don't want them to be in the bottom. I want them to be somewhere in the middle of the screen. Okay, yeah. That's the difference. So what I can do is I can do a simple calc of 100% minus a variable. Let's call it box. Oops. Box y. Okay. We're going to set this variable obviously in this loop that we've just built here. And we're going to make it random. Let's make it random of 10 minus 1 because I want a number between 0 to 9 including. Not 10, but 0 is okay. So now, EM, obviously. It's supposed to be EM. Yeah, okay, so now I have 4 cubes. They're positioned randomly, okay? And the height is changing according to the height of the control container. Okay, so this is kind of what we're aiming for. And again, if we're going to remove this background colors from the container, we're going to add the overflow hidden, so it would look something more. Let's change this back to let's say 7, right? Yeah, okay, so now this is like the game, and we have these cubes that are coming, and I have this this player, and the red player, and this red player I need to navigate it to hit these white boxes. They're gonna be colorful, don't worry. For now, they're white. But this is the basic concept, the first step of what we're aiming for, and we're gonna add more boxes later on. Yeah, okay, so let's bring back all of those weird stuff that we had. Yeah, okay. So now this is let's go to the to-do list. We have this weird wireframe. Let's talk about collision detection. So when I'm talking about collision detection, I want to know when the player, the red square, is over one of the white square, and I want to know over which white square, obviously. And you can see that each white square is obviously inside a box container, and you can already see that the box changes its width and its height according to the movement. So all I need to do is find the correct width and the correct height of each cube. So right here in the box container, actually let's put it in the bottom. I think it's gonna be better. Where did I put it? In the box itself? Yeah, no, let's put it inside the box. No, this is the container. No. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Hubis. I'm glad you like it. Okay, so let's do like a simple container. Oh, obviously, what I need to do first is come to the box container. We're gonna give it a container type, and the container type, I'm going to use size. I'm not going to use inline size because I want to query both the height and the width of the container. So now, thanks, Mark. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to set here container. Let's put it inside. I really don't want to. I don't know if to put it inside of the box. I'm gonna put it inside of the box for now. Yeah. So the container. Let's check. Let's understand what it is. So if I do, for example, width less than 4em, for example. Okay, and then inside we're gonna set a background color to green. Okay, so now you can see when each box is gonna move, when it's gonna be less than, when the width of the container is gonna be less than 4em, so you can see that the color is gonna change to green, because this is what it means when width is less than 4. Let's change it to green. So what I want to do is to check the width of when each cube hits the player. So I can actually count, because I have a grid. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I can say that if it's less than 6, okay, you can see that once it hits 6 ems, it turns green. Okay, and that's great. And I can actually say that 4 em, because if it moves behind it, I want it to be white again. So now you can actually see the green range that it's on. Okay, that's great, but I don't want it to be always green. I want it to be only green when I hit it with the player, and that I need to check with the height. So let's do an end, and the height is when I hit it, the proper height is 10 ems, the height of the container. So I'm just gonna do like 1 em before and 1 em after. So it's 9 em less than height less than 11 em. And let's remove this bluish thing. We don't need this list. So now, yeah, and when I hit each cube, it's gonna be green, and if I won't hit them, obviously they won't be green at any point, because if I don't hit them, that means that none of them or one of these queries is not working. It's not true. And when I hit it, it means that both the width and the height are getting the same, are inside of this range. I'm not actually detecting the collision. I'm faking a collision, obviously. Let's add overflow hidden to the body. I don't want it to scroll. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this is the basic collision principle. Okay, that's great. But now, let's go to do list. We have a detection, but now I wanted to make it pretty. And we need to two things. Once we're gonna add a few visuals, obviously, but you can notice we need some sort of state management. What do I mean state management? And I talked about it when we built the mazes. Let's close this. We don't need this. Yeah. So you can see that the square turns green when I go over it, obviously, but I want it to stay green all the way through, because if I want to have like animation of explosion or something, so I want to stay green. So how do I do that? I'm gonna add here to the container, I'm gonna create another animation to the box container, to the box. Yeah, let's give it an animation, and the animation is gonna be let's call it explode, because this is what I want to be in the end. Explode. And this animation is going to be very, very fast. It's actually going to be 1 millisecond, because I just want it to happen instantly. And after it happens, I want the values to stay that way. So we're gonna use forwards, but I'm actually gonna add paused. So why it's paused? So now the animation is not running. Okay. So let's create these keyframes. Oops, again, keyframes of explode. Okay. So now it's gonna stay white because this animation is never gonna run. But what we're gonna do is here inside of this container, we're gonna say that the animation play state is running. Okay. So now when I hit it, it becomes green and it stays green. Okay, and here's the problem, that it stays green even for the next loop. So what we need to do, thanks Roland. What we need to do is we're gonna add another query, another container query, that if the width is less than, let's say 2 EM. So if it's in the start, okay. So I'm just going to set the animation to none. So now it's white, and when I hit it, it becomes green, and when it goes all the way to the end, it becomes white. You can actually make it even less than 1. Does it? Maybe more than 1. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is the state management. Now let's talk about visuals. A bit hard to follow because the live is always during dinner. Sorry, Roland. Yeah, it's dinner time here as well. It's hard to find the time that fits all. I'm sorry. Okay. Where were we? Yeah, visuals. Let's start with something basic. Let's start with the background. I'm going to have a background to the game container. You can do whatever background you want. You can do a pattern background. You can use a visual. You can use image or whatever. I'm going to do something very simple. I'm going to do a background image, and I'm going to use a repeating linear gradient. Again, something simple. Let's do white, transparent, and then back to white. I'm gonna say like 2 EMs, but this obviously not gonna stay white. Oh, first of all, that's supposed to be like 90 degrees. And we're gonna do like very, very mild white, with a very high opacity. Okay, and now we wanted the background to move, obviously. So let's set let's give it another animation of background. And the background doesn't have to be like absolutely synced with the cubes. Actually, even it's better if it's not synced, like to give it like a parallax effect. If you want to sync it, you can, whatever you want. Linear and obviously infinite. And what we're changing in this animation, keyframes of background. So let's set we're obviously changing the background position on the x-axis. So let's say minus 10 EM, 100% obviously. And yeah, okay. So now it's not absolutely synced. If you want it to be synced, so I think it should be like 13 EMs because the cubes moves 13 EMs. Yeah, you can see now it's synced, but let's make it 12. I don't know. Because it's farther away, so it gives like a very slight parallax effect, and we can actually change this instead of 90. Let's change it like 60 degrees. Yeah, but then we have this cut. So we need to fine tune it, and again, you can use math or you can just go here and here and just play with this little value. Yeah, 53.5 looks great. Yeah, you can't see the cut anymore. So where was it? Game container. Yeah, okay. 53.5. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Again, you can do a lot of things, whatever you want, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Let's go to the player. I want the player to be a ball. So a few things. Obviously, I'm gonna add a border radius because it's a ball of 50%. Instead of the background color, I'm gonna use a background image, a radial background image, and I'm gonna set it to circle at top. So it's going to be a circle gradient, but the center of the circle is going to be on the top of the circle of the element itself. And I'm going to do something like from red to something dark, let's say maroon. Yep. So it gives it like an effect that there's a light coming from the top. You can actually set something darker. You can even go all the way black if it's if you're on a very dark color, but let's do it like 3. Okay. So now we have a ball that moves, but when the ball moves up, I want it to like squish. I want it because there's like a force that's pulling him up. So it's like it's moving like yeah. So at least that's in my head. So here in the let's give it a scale, and the scale is obviously gonna be var player scale, and we're gonna use 1 as just like default, and then we can set this variable here on the body in the active. So when it goes up, we can set the scale, we can set the X scale to like 0.9, so it would be a bit more narrow, but a bit higher, so let's say 1.1. So 10% less width, 10% more height, and then when we click on it, like, yeah, that looks better. What I do want to add, where's the player? Here it is. I already have this transition. The transition on the scale, let's make it fast, like 0.3 seconds. Yeah, that looks great. By the way, if any of you want to look at this live, I forgot I put this in the chat, so you can actually go and check this live. Yeah, okay, so now let's talk about the cubes themselves. So the boxes. So right now they're not really boxes, so they're just squares, and I want to make them boxes. But before I want them to rotate like 360 degrees all in every direction. And I don't know if you know, but there's no perspective here. So if I come to the box here, and we're gonna add another animation. Let's say box rotate. Let's say 1 second. Excuse me. Nice. Oh yeah, I said it. Box rotate 1 second, and I want to be infinite and linear again. So let's set these keyframes of box rotate. Yeah, let's say from transform. Let's start with a simple rotate on the y-axis. Okay, so rotate y 0 degrees, and let's say 360 degrees. Okay, so now the animation should work. Why did I forgot? So you have to be saving this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to keep on saving this. What did I forgot? Unexpected. Oh, this is supposed to be a comma. Excuse me. Okay, so now I have this rotation on the y-axis, but it's not actually rotating because, again, there is no perspective. It's just moving, like being narrow and wider and narrow and wider. And Normally in most of the animations I've done everywhere, I put the perspective on the body itself, and then I use perspective, the transform style to preserve the 3D all the way to its children. But the box container, it's a container, so you can't you can't use it. It won't work. So I'm just going to put the perspective right here on the box itself. So here, before the rotate, let's add a perspective. Let's say 10 EMs for now. And now you can actually see, yeah, we can actually see the rotation. Let's make it like 5 EMs. So it would be more noticeable. Yeah, that's already looks great. And yeah, so it's not just let's make it, oops, let's make it X, oops, X. So let's say that the X, let's say 90, and this is 180. Okay, so now they're rotating, but you can see that they're all rotating the same. Oh, why it looks weird? Oh, yeah, let's leave it 360. I'm gonna change it later on. So okay, so now they're rotating, but they're all rotating the same at the same time at the same speed, and I don't like it. I need it to be different. So I'm just gonna add to each one of this box rotate delay, and it can be just a random number. Oops, random number of just say like 10 over 10, so I have just like a random number from 0 to 1. So now let's set this, oops, var oh, it's supposed to be negative. Obviously it has to be negative. Oh, it's supposed to in seconds. So now, yeah, okay, you can see each one of them is rotating differently, and when we're gonna have a lot of them, it's gonna make a bit more difference. Yeah, so now let's turn these squares into cubes, and the way to do it obviously is by adding more divs. So for each one of these boxes, I'm gonna add an eyes, but not just one, because it's a cube, so I need 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've done a lot of cubes, so we're gonna try to do it a bit fast. Let's make it before the container. Let's do I position absolute. I'm gonna set inset 0 because I want to have the same size. Background color of white. Okay. Let's add some transparency to this white. It's okay for now. I'm gonna use box shadow and more stuff, but for now it's okay. And let's say and nth child. So the first nth child just gonna move it forward, so it's just gonna be a transform of translate on the z-axis of 0.5 EMs, because the size is 1 EM. I just want to move it half of the size. And oops. The second one is the same thing, but I want to rotate it before it. I just want to rotate it on the y-axis 90 degrees. 3, 4, 5, 6. So now 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's pretty much the same concept, only I'm rotating them 90 degrees on the other directions. So now, if I haven't left anything, oh, okay, so now I have a cube, but let's return to the first one that we don't see. I have pushed it a half of EMs forward on the z-axis, but we don't see it. The reason that we don't see it because we need to transfer this perspective to its children. So we're gonna add to the box itself a transform style of preserve 3D. So it's gonna preserve the 3D elements to its kids. Yeah, okay, so now we can see it happening. Yeah. So now we can uncomment these, and we're gonna have cubes. Let's change this. Let's add a box shadow of 0.25 em. Some sort of black and inset, because I like the shadow to be on the inside. So now you can actually see each one of the sides of the cubes. And now you can see that the rotation is very fast. This is why I changed this before to 90 and 180. And it's when you're using a cube, you can use 90 degrees and 180 degrees because it's the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of looking much better now. Okay. But now when I hit each one of the cubes, nothing happens. Actually, something does happen if we're gonna change the opacity a bit. Actually, let's give them an opacity. Opacity, let's say 0.5 for now. Yeah, so we can see that when I hit on each one of them, the color becomes green. Great. So the detection still works, but I don't want it to be green. I want it to explode. So here in the explode animation, where was the explode animation? Here. Instead of setting the background color to green, what I'm gonna change is this variable. It's instead of pushing each one of these elements 0.5 EMs, I'm gonna push them like a lot more, like 5 EMs or something like that. So let's say that the ITZ, because I translate Z, so 5 EM. Okay, so now I can set these variables for each one of those. Instead of 0.5, I can say var of ITZ or 0.5. Okay, so now when it's like this, it's okay, but when I hit one of them, it's like explodes, obviously. So now I just need to add a transition. I'm gonna say all because I want to change the opacity as well in a second. So let's say all 0.5 seconds, and it's an explosion, so I'm gonna use an ease out. Okay, so now when this is like this, when I hover it, okay, starting to look okay. Let's change this back to white, and we don't need this box background color anymore. Yeah, okay. Okay, it's starting, but as I said, I want to change the opacity to 0. So now we can set this opacity var opacity, or let's say 0. Let's say 1. Let's leave it like this. Yeah, so now I have a cube. Okay, starting to look like a game. I do want these cubes to be colorful, as I said. So let's go back here in this loop of those boxes. Excuse me. I'm going to create a variable of hue, and it's very simple, like 360, like this, the same thing. Okay, and then I can use this variable, the hue, in this color. Yeah, let's do an HSL var hue, and let's say 100%, 50%. So now we have color cubes in each one of those colors, and it's already a game, kind of a game for now that can last for a long time. And if we want to add more boxes, like right now I have 4 boxes. So the reason I want more boxes is just because I want more interest in the game. Now, you can, obviously, like if you make it with JavaScript, you're just going to spawn automatic elements, and then you can spawn each one in any position. Here, what you can do is add another layer of animation for each one of those cubes that change its position every time it loops, or maybe like even moves on the y-axis, whatever you want. I'm not gonna do. I'm just gonna go the easy way right now, and I'm just gonna add div. I'm like brute force it. So it's like 5, 10, maybe 20. So all we need to do now is just move this counter, box count, excuse me, to 20. If I haven't forgot anything. Yeah, so now I forgot something. This is not... what did I miss? I changed this to 20. Yeah, it looks great, but that's not what I meant. We can have like maybe 3 in the same, but why is it... why is this like that? Oh, the box count here. It's supposed to... wow, I have 2 variables of box count? Where did I change this one? Oh, I have 2 of these variables accidentally. Yeah, so this is supposed to be here. 20. Okay. Now it looks this nice rhythm. Maybe we can change this to 3 at a time and not just 2. Yeah, and maybe make it a bit faster, so maybe like 1.2. Yeah, and those little tweaks, you can play around with it, and it's obviously going to be different. Like if instead of cubes they're going to be like coins, so it would act like differently. If instead of cubes it's going to be like birds, so maybe they're going to be moving. So obviously when you're making games, you should adjust the movement and all these fine tunings to whatever it is that you're making at the same time. Okay, so that's... it looks like I can play around a little bit for hours. Let's just add this overflow hidden to the game container again, because I don't want those in the side. Yeah, looks great. Okay. Mark, how did you come up with the idea? sleep deprivation. No, I'm joking. I play around with a lot of stuff until I get something that I like. And I obviously do keep a lot in up to date with CSS. I'm part of the CSS community group for CSS Next. So yeah, I'm always in contact with the browsers and the implementer themselves, and yeah, you need to stay up to date with CSS, because CSS is changing fast. Yeah, so where were we? Oh, yeah, so we have a to-do list. We have visuals, something that looks like a game. Now let's talk about scoring. And if you wanted this game to be pure CSS, you can leave it like that. I am going to add just a little bit of JavaScript. Again, very basic. If you're not a big JavaScript developer, don't worry. If you are a JavaScript developer, so great. It's going to be very easy. And we're going to use just vanilla JavaScript for the scores. So let's create a variable of score. I'm going to start at 0. And what I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to get all of the boxes that I have in my document. So let's say document, query selector. So I'm querying, I'm asking the document to query by the selector, because we're working with CSS, so it's easy to work with query selector. I'm asking him to query all of the... So now, I get like an array. It's not really an array, but you can treat it like an array of elements that you can do whatever you want with it, including, for example, for each. Okay, so I can do for each box, we're going to add a simple arrow function, and what we're going to do for each one of these boxes, we're going to add an event listener. Okay, so event listener is something that happens triggers something else. We're going to talk about what happens in a second, but when something happens, it's going to trigger a simple function of increase score. Okay? So in a second, we're going to create a simple function of increased score. But what is the trigger? This is a good question, because when do we want to trigger this scoring? Obviously, when I hit one of those cubes. But what happens when I hit one of those cubes? What happens is an animation triggers. Okay, you can see right here in the animation where is it here? I'm actually triggering an animation. So some of you may think that I can use an animation start. Oh, Mark, yeah, very good. Yeah, some of you think I can use an animation start, but actually this box has two animations, okay? And the animation is, so I don't want to count the second animation, but the difference between those two animations is that the first animation is infinite. So the first animation never ends. The second animation does end, and it ends very fast. So I can use an animation end trigger. So let's do animation end, and then every time an animation ends, that actually it's like every time I hit it, that score happens. So what happened inside of this function? Very, very simple. I'm gonna set the document body. So I'm gonna ask the body to set actually the body style, because we're in CSS and CSS is the body style. We're gonna set a property, and we're gonna set a property of score, obviously. Oops, like this. No, like this. Yep. And we're gonna set it to, let's say, use template literal because it needs to be a string. So let's say score and score. Score plus plus, because every time the function happens, we're gonna increase it by 1. And actually, if we're gonna no, animation end, Mark was right, script. If you look at this body, okay, we have a score of 0 right now. Yes, that's great. But if I hit one of them, yeah, the score is 1. And if I hit another one, it's 2. And then now it's 3. And you can see it's working. Okay, now I have a custom variable, custom property with the score. So all I need to do now, let's go back to the CSS. Let's go to the game container. Yep, here. We're going to add a pseudo element. Let's do a before, because I want it to be behind the boxes and behind the ball. So I'm going to use a before. And the content is going to be var score. And what did I miss? Oh yeah, okay, it works. Oh, I need to. Let's go. I need to call this function in the beginning, just for the first time. Yeah, okay. So now this is the score is 0, and now it's 1, 2, and so on. Let's make it a bit prettier. Let's go to the assets and get a new font. Let's say this font. And where's the font? Where is the font? Let's make it this. Yeah, that's great. And well, let's say the fourth position absolute. Let's give it a very small inset. Let's say like 0.2 EMs. Yeah, and I like it that's behind the boxes and behind the ball, so it doesn't interfere with the game itself. And you can't actually put it like above, because this game container has a overflow of hidden. So you can use a different element that is outside of the game container, but if you want to use a pseudo element, so it has to be visually inside of the game container. Yeah, that looks like a game. I can play. That's better. I've done like a demo, a very rough demo, and I played for hours. This I can spend a lot of time with it. Yeah. Any questions? Chat, ideas, comments? we're actually about a bit over time, so we're gonna finish very, very soon. Yeah, but that's it. This is the game. I'm gonna publish it obviously later on in my Twitter and everything. The CSS is not. Yeah, they say, you know. Yeah, and you can obviously. Oops, what? Yeah. You can take this general idea and you can do a lot of a lot of types of games with the same principle. I do want to do another CSS game that uses the checkbox hacks. And then you can do something including scoring with pure CSS. But I have like a general idea because I wanted to be like 3D with a twist. But I still didn't get exactly what I wanted. But I'm gonna do it maybe in a few weeks. Yeah, does it work on mobile? Oh, great question. Check it. And if not, okay, so probably not. Why not? Actually, why not? It's active. Yeah, it's supposed to work on mobile. And I'm not using any. Oh, wait. Yeah, so I am using the container queries of here. So you need a mobile that is with a browser that is up to date. But if you're asking about touch screens, yeah, it's active. No reason it won't work on mobile. And yeah, I am using a lot of divs. And if I want to make it more performant, so I would use a lot of less cubes, and then I would just position each cube in a different Y position over time, and then it would be much more performant. So maybe it would be slow on mobile, but it should work. And again, you can do a lot of things like add. If you miss out, you can add strikeouts and restart and whatever you want. But I am going to let you do those improvements on your own. Active state is in mobile. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, the active is in mobile. No, it's not like the click and tap. The active is active, including in mobile and touch screens, no problem. Yeah, so I think that's it for me for today. Thank you all for being in. Thank you for the guys in the chat for participating. Hi Greg, didn't see you there. Thank you. Gypsy Girl and Mark and Script Raccoon and Roland, all of them. It would be nice if we could update the variable inside the keyframe animation so we can each. What? Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can add. Like one of the things. Okay, here's a very hard challenge. How do you make it faster over time? And here's the thing: you can't change the animation duration, because if I change the animation duration, things really change. Yeah, so that's a nice little challenge if you want to take it upon yourself. Script going about the counter. So there's a lot of ways to fake counters without JavaScript. Specifically here, because I'm using container queries, so everything is contained inside of the query. You can't even use head selectors. I've tried, believe me. But if you figure out something that I've missed, please try it. And if you find something, tell me about it. This is why I'm doing this stuff, to learn more. So I tried. I haven't found a way of doing this without JavaScript. I have thought about one way that all of those divs is going to be nested, one inside of another, but I didn't want to go that way, and then it won't be endless. But if you found a way, please tell me. Yeah. So again, thank you all for being here. I hope to see you again next live sometime next week. And yeah, that's it. Bye from me. Bye.